Welcome to the first episode of Unhealed Siblings, presented by Unfiltered, Unhealed. Before we get into this, just know this space is for those of us living in the aftermath of losing a brother or sister. There's no script for this kind of grief and no right way to carry it. Sometimes we cry, but personally, most days I have to laugh because crying can be a slippery slope. We have to hold it together for the family, right? In this episode, you'll hear from someone who means a lot to me. Someone you will hear from a lot if you follow the podcast. She's my mother from a past life, a friend of over 20 years. It's Mimi. We have lived a lot of life side by side, and we are very different in many, many ways. But unfortunately, we share the experience of losing a sibling. Today, Mimi is sharing some of her brother Wesley's story. This isn't just about how Wesley passed. It's to remember who he was and use his story to help someone else out there. Wesley had colon cancer. In Wesley's situation, he just did not know to say something. And unfortunately, by the time it was apparent to his mother something was wrong, it was already too late. Furthermore, this is about what Wesley's family walked through, navigating something you're never prepared for, and the heavy reality of advocating final decisions for a loved one who is unable to advocate for themselves. Wesley's story made a difference for me and how seriously I advocate for me and my children's health. In Wesley's name, I hope whoever listens to this story learns something, or possibly find some comfort in their own loss. So wherever you are, take a second and listen with an open heart. This is Unhealed Siblings.
Tell me about Wesley, because that was like a series of events that you had to deal with because he got sick.
He got sick and passed away a month and a half later.
Yeah, but that was still a series of events of trying to figure.
Well, yeah.
Right. Yeah, if you're gonna make me coffee. Yeah, coffee. Oh, did your phone go off? Make me coffee and I'll give you more time.
She said us coffee.
Us coffee.
Us coffee.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll give you more time. Where's my broken phone?
She said we're in our real phone. My mom had thought he was sick. I'd say a week or so beforehand.
Why
she wanted me to take
he
it
was sick?
as far as like having a cold or pneumonia or something like that. And she wanted me to take him to urgent care, but his wallet had been stolen out of his locker at work, so he didn't have his ID or his insurance card to be able to go to urgent care. About a week later, he come in from work all out of breath. My mom took him to the hospital. They did say he had pneumonia, but I guess they had done some kind of blood work. My mom called me and she's like,
We recording. I'm recording.
she had called me and she was telling me that they were running tests and they said something about his white blood cell count. In my head, I knew like something was going on, and I kind of thought like some kind of cancer, but I didn't know for sure. And then my mom called me back a little bit later and told me that he had cancer. She called me like upset. He has cancer. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to get through it. We're going to figure it out. She needed cigarettes, so I rode down to the hospital, took her cigarettes. But so yeah, he was in the hospital, and like he got up the next morning. My mom said he kept looking at the clock, like he wanted to go to work. My mom had to tell him, like, you're not going to work. But they did the test. They found out he had colon cancer, but it spread to his liver as long as the kidneys.
Did they know how long he had it?
So we didn't know how long he had it until they had a surgeon that went in when they were trying to take the mass out of his colon. That's when Dad was like, I've done this for 20 years. Well, it was funny because his room was so packed, like everybody and their mother was in this room before he went into surgery. There was standing room only in his hospital room. So then, they're taking him down for surgery. So we all go into the waiting room. When the surgeon comes up, and of course he does that, I need to take you into another room. My dad's like, why? Everybody in this room right here is with us. At this point, we're all in the waiting room. And the surgeon's like, but I'd like to take you into a separate room. So it was me, my mom, my dad, quite a few cousins, aunts, and uncles ended up going into the room. Like, okay, we could all move from one room to the other. It's okay. um, so we went in there, and that's when he's like, "You can ask my assistant. Never in the 20 years that I've been doing this, have I been able to say that I can't do it." He said, "But I couldn't do it." He said that he could have tried, but he would have risked losing him on the table, and he wanted us to have whatever time we had left with him. But he's the one that told us then that he's probably had this mass for at least 5 years. But Westley was mentally challenged, so, like, I'm sure he had bleeding when he was going to the bathroom and stuff like that, but he never knew to say anything. He was nowhere near the age to get a colonoscopy. Like, he was only 35. I might be a little wrong. I say 34, but for some reason, I feel like somebody else said 35. He was about 29 when he got the colon cancer, 28, 29 years old when he got the colon cancer. That's why, like, when doctors say, "Oh, if you were this age," I don't believe in all that.
Yeah.
Because you know what? You don't get colonoscopies. At that point, you didn't colonoscopies until you're about 52 years old. My brother died at 34 years old of colon cancer.
young, like, he would have had demand from a doctor and a demand a colonoscopy. You're part of the reason why I did.
Right.
Like, sorry,
So,
continue.
but yeah, one of my cousins asked, how long does he have? And I think that's why I love this surgeon, because he said, "You know what? I can't answer that. I'm not God." He said, "I can give you a roundabout amount of time, but ultimately at the end of the day, I'm not God. I don't know." So we come out of surgery. At this point in time, they pretty much knew that the only option was he could go through chemo. When they told my mom that, I was taking her home from the hospital. And my mom said, "We have to have a family meeting." I said, "Okay. What's this family meeting got to be about?" And she said, "Well, whether we're going to do chemo in Westley or not." I said, "Sounds great." I said, "I'm going to give you my opinion now." I said, "Just know this." I said, "I feel like that should be yours and Daddy's decision." I said, "Because I'm going to be there. You need help getting them to a doctor's appointment, I'm going to help you take them. You need somebody to sit with them so you can have a break, I'll come down there and sit with them. You need somebody to do something, I'll be there." I said, "But you and Daddy are the ones that are going to watch him suffer through all of it." I said, "So you and Daddy should be the ones that decide whether we're going to do chemo or not." So we never had a family meeting. What my mom ended up doing was, in the hospital one day, she hunted the surgeon down. And she said to the surgeon, "You've seen him from the inside out. What would you do?" He said, "Honestly, if it was my child, I wouldn't put him through chemo." Ultimately, at the end of the day, only thing chemo would have done was make him live for another 2 years. But he'd have been sick the whole time. And that's what I said to my mom, because a friend of mine said this, that actually her grandfather had said this when he was sick. "I'm alive, but I'm not living." And since she has told me that, like, I live off of that. We could have kept him alive, but he wouldn't have been able to live the life that he wanted to live. For them 2 years. He couldn't have went to work. He couldn't have went to baseball games. He couldn't have went to the races. He couldn't have hung out with his family like he likes to. He couldn't have done any of the above.
Yeah.
So why make him suffer for 2 years for the selfishness of ourselves?
Just for him to be here.
For him to be here, for us not to lose him at that time. He was going either way.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of time of how long we had to keep him around and how long he'd have suffered for us to have him around.
Yeah.
How would that have been fair on our part to do that to him? So we decided not to be selfish and to opt out of chemo. We took him home, and he slept in a chair. He had a hospital bed. My mom had him in a hospital bed. He had to wear diapers or whatever you want to call them, because even though he had a colostomy bag, the was still, and we always called it messing us. So, like, that Easter, I always took my kids down to diet eggs with my siblings around Easter. So the day before Easter, we went down, dyed eggs. It was late, went home. I got up the next day and realized I forgot my phone at my mom's. So I got up Easter morning, did Easter with the kids, and I was like, all right, I'll be back. I gotta go get my phone. So I went down to my mom's. My dad and my mom were prepping Easter dinner. People were coming over because now it's Wesley's last Easter. So now we've got more people coming over and things like that and all that good stuff. And Wesley got to coughing or something. And he said, "I can't do this anymore." And I heard what he said, because he was sitting in the chair. I was sitting in the hospital bed across from him. My mom and dad were both in the kitchen. My mom said, "What'd you say?" Wesley said, "I can't do this anymore." Then he put his head down and shook his head. He said, "I'll be all right. I'll be all right." So then, we did Easter with him. Time went by, and then, so we always helped out with this baseball thing that they did in the community down at the field. The whole family always helped out. And it was the day before opening day for the baseball thing. And my mom, she always did these baskets, the auction, like the raffle off, to raise money to help out or whatever at this at the baseball field. And my mom was at the store. My uncle was at the house. He was staying with my mom all the time, like helping them with Westley and sitting with Westley when they needed, to go do whatever. My Uncle Junior was at the house, and our thing is, if somebody goes somewhere and they're gone too long, it's like, what did the store move? So that's what Wesley said. What did the store move? Uncle Junior's like, what's wrong? Did you mess yourself? And Wesley shook his head and said, yeah. And Uncle Junior said, do you want me to clean you up? And Wesley said, no. So he only let my mom clean him up. So my mom come over in the store, and Uncle Junior said to my mom, like, Wesley messed himself. He needs to be cleaned up. And they always asked him, like, do you want to be cleaned up now? You want to wait? Like, they left it up to him. And my mom said, do you want me to clean you up now? And Wesley said, yeah. She said, well, we got to move you to the bed. And Wesley said, yeah. And from my dad moving him from the chair to the hospital bed, Wesley said, I can't do this anymore. And he passed in my dad's arms. That was the day. And he had his shirt on. We said he was ready for opening day he wanted to go to the field for opening day. So when they did the little opening day, they did a parade and stuff, and they had made a sign up for him and all that good stuff. And we all put W's on our shirt for him. They made me a shirt up. So like he passed, and he had a lot of people at his funeral. But the thing I love to tell people about Wesley is when he was born, City Hospital, to my mom, he never walked. He'd be in a wheelchair the rest of his life and never walk. Wesley was never in a wheelchair and worked for Johns Hopkins Linen Department for 14 years. Faithfully, every day. You couldn't even get that boy to take off. Like, he had so much vacation and sick time when he passed. It was crazy. Wesley passed when Zeke was 2 months old. And, because every time I had a boy, I lost a brother.
Damn.
Zeke was 2 months old when he passed. Well, when Zeke was about 2 years old, he didn't really talk. Joseph, that boy could have whole conversations with you at a year old.
Yeah.
Zeke, on the other hand, he wasn't ready. And whatever. I'm a firm believer every child is different. You can't judge one child over another.
Yeah.
But he was coming down my steps, and he looked back behind him, and he's like, no, it's my food. And I'm like, what? So he get down because I had his food. He was coming down to eat. And he sits down and he looks back again. It's like, no, that's my food. And I'm like, well, who the hell are you talking to? And for him to be talking that clearly, because again, he didn't speak. A couple minutes later, as clear as day, he looked at me and said, I'm that boy. That's what we called my brother Westley. So it was like, and he never said it again. Never said anything like, again, he didn't really speak. Never said it again, but he looked at me and said, I'm that boy. Like, okay.
Well, I'm going to eat your food. You better go get your food. I'm going to eat your food.
My mom had life insurance on her. Because actually, that was another thing, so my mom got life insurance on all of us when my brother Michael passed away. But something that happened, I guess she had found a cheaper life insurance policy, so she had switched.
Okay.
So when Wesley had passed, he was literally like 2 or 4 days shy of the 2-year mark. So when my mom initially called the life insurance company, they weren't giving us the life insurance. My mom called the funeral home that my dad's side of the family has dealt with for many years, and the funeral home called the life insurance policy, and they got them to give us the life insurance.
Good.
But yeah, we were like a couple days shy of this 2-year mark, and they were like, no, we can't do it. And my mom was like, then it was like kind of like a panic.
Do
Like,
you guys have is there value in that?
I don't know if there's value in it. Oh, you can borrow from your different life insurance policies and stuff like that.
Yeah, life insurance.
Oh, we all have life insurance.
Yeah.
My kids have life insurance.
Really?
Yeah, my mom has life insurance on all of us.
I have life insurance on none of our assets.
Yep, my mom has life insurance on all of us. She's had it.
It's harder to get it the older you get, right? Because then you get sick and.
Well, I mean, no, because they don't. The thing is they don't really look at your health anymore, because a lot of them you have to have for 2 years before you can. I mean, I think there are some that's not the case. And so I don't want to speak for all life insurance policies, but I know a lot of them are. You have to have a life insurance policy for 2 years before they'll pay out. So
I mean, it makes sense on thinking about it on their path.
Yeah. I mean, that way they ain't got to worry about your medical side of everything.
Yeah, and then they
Exactly.
wait because what happens if you're going to get life insurance? Like,
Right.
you gotta wait 2 years.
Right.
Alright.
Right. That's on you. Well, some life insurance policies don't pay out. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, so Gary's son-in-law, the one that shot him with the shotgun, um,
That's pretty interesting.
yeah, shot him with a shotgun and then burnt the trailer down that he did it in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, out in West Virginia, I'm telling you, I don't know if we'll live out there. There's some shit going down, and then his dad plowed it down before the insurance investigators could come out. Gary's daughter that was married to that shot up the shotgun, they had a fight, but they ended up getting a life insurance policy. It was so they're still saying it was
Yeah. Well, some
with
some
the
life
shotgun.
insurance policies will pay
Yeah,
out
they had to
even
like
with
fight for
suicide.
it, but that never sat right with me.
Yeah, that doesn't
They were into
make
some
sense.
shit out there. They were into some shit.
Before we close this out, thank you for listening. These conversations aren't easy to have and they're not easy to hear, but they matter because sibling loss is something so many of us carry silently. Mimi, thank you for trusting this space and sharing Westley with us. His story matters, and so does your grief, no matter how you carry it. If you're listening and you lost a brother or sister, you're not alone. However, it shows up for you, it is valid. If you feel called to share your sibling story, this space is here for you. You can speak it, write it down, stay anonymous. There's no right way, just your way. Next month, we share Mimi's other angel brothers, Michael and Steven. Until then, still here, still healing, still siblings.